Hey, Goat Knucklers, it is Flo, and welcome to this special, very special edition of Goat Knuckle Talk with Flo. It's our first year anniversary this month. So, you know what? You guys have put up with my crap for over a year. It's okay. It's all right. So, let me introduce you to Lisa Nolan Hafner, who's put up with my shit for over a year. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Cheers.
Cheers.
1
Oh, yeah.
year, Michael. 1 year. Can you believe it?
I know. One freaking year, 43 shows later, 130 classmates who just shared their stories. What? That was pretty damn awesome.
Yep. Well,
Yes.
before we get started, just doing a recap of our year. Tonight we do have a sponsor for this special edition, and
Oh,
it's
yeah. So I'm going to take off my.
yeah, show up. Chunkers Fertilizing was
I'm wearing their
founded,
cap.
yeah, founded in 2017, and it's a company that's built on a really simple but powerful mission, and that's to support the farming community by providing top quality commercial application services, partnering with leading chemical companies. They specialize in the precise, efficient application of fertilizers, helping growers maximize their yields and maintain healthy, productive fields. So they have lots of experience. They've become a really trusted brand, and they're really optimized for success, and they're very committed to strengthening the backbone of agriculture and one field at a time. So if you have any needs for that, please contact Russell Horan, and I will um, give everybody his phone number. Well, I thought I was going to give everybody his phone number. Here, I'm going to,
Well,
yeah,
I got it. I got it right here. And guys, when you call Russell at 214-505-7413, again, 214-505-713, say, hey, it's a Goat Knuckler. And I saw your, whatchamacallit, your advertising on Goat Knuckle Talk with Flo, and I need your business. So mention this show. Cool.
that's right.
And then that's Russell Horan and Vicky Horan, who were just on what show?
Sweetheart.
Sweetheart 2, Valentine. So, guys, before we get in, so the purpose of this show, we're going to kind of go through some of the shows that we had on here and kind of, tell you our great moments or try to remember, guys. And again, this is over a year ago, but I want to mention a few things. Again, when you go on YouTube to watch this video, please subscribe to my channel. Not only like the video on Facebook and leave a comment on Facebook, but also leave a comment on YouTube and like the video. So, Dan, again, smash that button. Subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to be like those YouTubers, those young kids. So I don't think I'm doing a good job. But anyway, and also, you know, we've reached out to you guys. Man, we like to double our shows for this year. So if you're sitting there thinking, man, I would love to be on this show, I'd love to have so and so and so and so, man, contact Lisa and I. And don't wait for us to contact you. Give us the ideas, give us the names, and we'll help you contact them and schedule this show. So I know a lot of you guys have some stories you're just, aching to share with everyone. Ain't that right, Lisa?
Yes, and also, this is a chance to reunite with your friends, or if you want to reunite with one of your teachers that really touched your heart, this would be a great platform for that too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
Oh, or somebody who mentored you. This would be a great platform to reunite you and to bring those great stories to the forefront of why somebody helped you or touched your life or whatever. Or just bring your besties on.
yeah, absolutely.
Just come
Yeah.
on by yourself and come and have a conversation, cocktail
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. Exactly. And
Let's see,
yeah,
cocktail
you don't have
conversation connection.
yeah. So absolutely. So guys, we're winging this show. So we're probably gonna make a few mistakes. So me probably several, but who cares? We're having fun. But hey, I've explained this a couple times on the show. Let me kind of give you the quick origin of this show. So a couple of years ago, we had a 40th high school reunion, and I got up to get a drink. Imagine that. And when I was getting up, I looked around, and by the way, it was during our Saturday night dinner, so everyone was sitting down at tables, and every table was laughing hysterically. I mean, laughing. So I was just telling myself, man, I wish I could be at every table to listen what they're talking about. And I'm pretty sure they were sharing high school stories, and I knew they were. So I was like, hey, why not do a podcast so we can imprint these and the videos on YouTube and Facebook and other platforms coming soon. But it's just like, let's share these stories. And we started with 83 and then would expand it to other classes. So, anyway, and of course, I asked Miss Lisa to jump on board, who, we stayed in touch, throughout our years, but not as nearly as much as we have the last year.
This is it's been a really fun and bonding experience. I know more about you, Michael, than I've ever known in my entire life.
So I just want to give you a heads up. I am cutting off again. I still have those technical difficulties living out in the country, but hopefully within 4 weeks to 8, maybe 12 weeks, we'll finally get our fiber optic cable, and AT&T would be able to distribute this the internet. So we'll have I have a better, definitely have a better connection, and we'll start doing live shows. Yes, live shows, and hopefully in the future we can do some where we can receive phone calls, and if you guys have just a quick story to share, but that's in the future. But definitely, I would say within about 3 months we'll be start doing all of our shows live.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
live from New York, live from Hempstead, Texas, and live from where the hell you live? Rockwell,
No, I live right in Dallas.
Dallas. That's right, Dallas, Texas.
Right
So
in Dallas. Yes, I'm in
so
the heart of
anyway, but yeah, about a year ago, so I pick up the phone, I text Lisa, hey, I need to talk to you. And what happened? What did I ask?
you said you had, well, you shared about what you observed, and I said me too. I thought it was really incredible, and I was really moved by it. And then you said, I've got this crazy idea, tell me what you think. And I'm like, that's a great idea. And
Yes,
we had initially enlisted a third member, but he was not able to join us. um, but it's worked out with just the two of us.
absolutely. The Latino flavor, La Raza.
Yes.
So,
And, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. And I've said numerous times on the show that the experience of doing this has been really cathartic for me, specifically because I did not stay in touch with anyone. And it's brought a lot of healing and a lot of perspective. And I needed this paradigm shift, and I realize how formidable those years were growing up in Plainview. I was born there and raised there, and that the positive impact was far greater than I knew. And this show has brought that to the forefront versus the negative things that I experienced, which I clung to. And I realized, as we get old, clinging to the to the negative things isn't beneficial for our well-being.
oh,
Or
not at this
mental
age. I
either.
agree.
No, and so it's been really good, and I hope that for the guests that have been on the show that they've had a similar experience of a lot of fun and camaraderie, and just this idea of reconnecting, and for our viewers too. Like, I hope it's sparked some really good memories for you. I've said it numerous times as well. Nothing is perfect. No one's life was perfect. Nobody comes out unscathed at the end, but hopefully we brought some levity and joy and wonderful memories and laughter and things to ponder for people, and those things are important. Connections are really important to me.
Yeah, and absolutely. And like, again, you're this is gonna be on YouTube forever. So, well, when we're gone, I mean, our kids will have those videos to watch. Their kids, our grandkids, our great grandkids, and so on and so on. I mean, this is gonna be, in our archives, but hopefully people can still view them. But
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, yeah, it's been good. Again, 130 classmates. Can you believe that? And hey, guys, and I'm not counting Kevin Box, his 3 times B Terrell History Times. I only counted them once, and there's several handful others who were on there twice. So no, I didn't count them multiple times. These are individual people, 130 classmates from hell 87, 86 through
77.
79 or something like that. So wow, it's a
Yeah.
big gap there.
Yeah, well, with that said, Michael, I wanted to really thank everybody that's come on the show. You didn't have to, you didn't get paid for it. You took 2+ hours out of your time to join us on this little passion project and to connect with your classmates, and that means so much to us. And it really means a lot to me that you know that you've been willing to move past any apprehensions or trepidation or nervousness or whatever to just show up, and to the coaches and other people that have come on. Um, thank you, thank you, thank you from
Yeah,
all.
we had another city. We had another high school. Odessa joined us, and next week we're gonna have Hartford. So
Well,
we're gonna be reaching out to other schools, to join us. And again, we're trying to reach out a bigger audience. So that's why subscribe to that my YouTube channel, please. We
yes,
need to get it out there. So, but
and I also want to say one final thing about this, and this goes out to all the businesses in Plainview. While our production is very rudimentary and very basic, there are quite a few costs involved with this. And so if you feel inclined to offer some kind of sponsorship to our program, we would be delighted. It can be $5 or $500 or $5,000. But, we, this is not there are significant costs involved in putting on a production, even as rudimentary as ours. And so if you feel a calling in your heart to sponsor our program, we would be really, really grateful and indebted to you. So,
absolutely. And thank you for the classmates who bought the
yeah,
t-shirts.
yeah,
Yes, the t-shirts and caps, and that's definitely one way to help us. And again, I still got plenty of t-shirts. I'm, right now I can't buy the same cap style, so I'm gonna have to change. Sorry, but I know there's a handful of you guys who want to buy a cap. So the next couple of weeks, I'll make a decision if I want to buy a different style, which will be kind of close to it. But anyway, we'll thank you guys for buying the merch.
yes, yes, indeed.
So 1 year ago, um, we had Lord Griffith, who's our classmate, and we were recording that show. And unfortunately, as I mentioned, my internet was horrendous. And this is before I got a hotspot. I was going straight to my satellite internet, and I kept freezing and kept freezing and kept freezing. So we basically had to do a redo. So she was unfortunately our first guest. Can you tell us who was our first guest on our show
Yes, Alex Gonzalez and Richard Rubio,
from the
and
class of '83?
both a class of '83, and that was a really, really memorable show. And you want to tell why it was so memorable to us?
Well, they talk, about musicians. Alex, I've stayed in touch with him. He's one of my best friends growing up in grade school and through high school, and until now we're in our 60s. He's been very involved with music in Austin. I know he volunteered a lot at South by Southwest.
Yeah, for
So
many years.
absolutely, and he still jams. He has a house. He's got a little room set up for recording. He's got drums, got mics, and he's always inviting musicians over to his house, and they jam. Until this day, they're jamming. And Richard Rubio, he's in a band, an '80s band out of Austin. The band's called
No,
Karma.
Amarillo. Amarillo.
Amarillo. Yes, and its name is Karma. So if you guys are in Amarillo and you see Karma, go see them. And Richard's the bassist. But anyway, it was all about music. And the one thing I got out of that show was that Alex mentioned that George Velez, the late George Velez, who passed away from, and he was from our class, went by Alex's house, and him and Alex wrote a song together, which Alex performed live. And that was pretty touching. pretty cool that he did that. So yes, that was our
Yeah.
first show, but it also was, uh, he mentioned that, which touched me. Oh, hold on, we might have a guest. You want to say hello? Come here. We're recording, so yeah, we're not live. So you want to say hello to Miss Deborah?
Hi, Deborah. How are you?
Yeah, she said, "How are you?" I'm sorry, she can't hear. I've got. She's,
Oh,
"How
that's
are
right.
you?"
That's right.
Well, she's good. She's saying she's good. So, but she's over here with Shabuzi. But all right, sweetheart, I'll see you. Anyway, you look nice. So yes, that was a very memorable show because they mentioned the late George Velez, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so then our second show was the original gangsters, the Sweethearts, high school sweethearts.
Yeah, we had Scott and Melissa Bauckham and Steve and Cindy Olsen, and it was just so sweet to hear their love story and growing up together and their dating and all that stuff. But what really moved me about that show was I had no idea that Steve knew my dad, and the fact that he shared that story of my dad helping him out so much and then giving him free set of tires. That really, I mean, it made me cry. Daddy was very generous, and I just had no clue. I had no clue that he knew Steve like that. And so that's the thing that really, I mean, aside from their stories, which were amazing, and I love these sweetheart stories of people that have stayed together since high school. But what really stands out for me from that show was that because I lost my dad 3 years ago, and it's a hard loss. It's still a hard loss. I'm an old daddy's girl, and that was just really moving to me.
Well, good. And then after that, we had the Twirlers, which was
Yeah.
Jenny Hogue and Fanchon West.
Yes, and
And
they're more.
we had some issues with them as well, but it wasn't on my side this time. But they joined. They got together at Janie's house and on a Sunday and shared their stories on a Sunday afternoon. You remember that?
I do, because
Yeah,
that was a redo, right? We had a
that
redo.
was a redo. Yes.
Yeah, it was fun to hear their stories and really how dedicated they were to their craft. But the story that stands out, I think, for us is Jeannie telling about getting was it tomatoes? She got
I think it was
yeah,
tomatoes. Got
and I still remember that game. We were at Monterey, and there's a little scuttlebutt about the tomatoes being thrown at the twirlers. But she actually got hit by tomatoes, and yeah, not good. And
yeah, and then
I'm glad
and
she
it
can laugh about it now.
yeah, and then remember she also told us that during either a practice or before a game, I think it was a practice where they were practicing the fire batons. They lit the. And I remember one of them slung the kerosene. I mean, they're talking, which was kerosene and was lit, and it I think either caught her hair or her eyebrows,
Yeah,
singed them.
yeah, singed her eyebrows. I don't think it was at a game. I think it was a practice.
Yeah, yeah. So that was
Just to
that was
clarify.
pretty
Yeah, I
crazy.
forgot about that. Oh my
Uh,
gosh, yes.
yeah. So guys, if you can see, we're looking to our Lisa's to her right and to my left. We have our little cheat sheet, so bear with us. And then, we had some anglers and Derek D. Barry, Andrew Hayes, B. Turner, and Lacey Blackster. We just talked about how much the love we have in fishing and every one of them. I mean, they still fish to this day. It was a great show. And then I'm going to let you touch the cancer survivors, Lisa, with Wendy Stone and Melinda Morales.
Yes, I was really moved that they were willing to come in. When you talk as a fellow cancer survivor, it's hard to go through something like that. Um, so I really appreciate how vulnerable they were in sharing their journey and their experience, and the fact that they both were passionate about, um, spreading the message, like get checked out. Don't wait, don't ignore symptoms, and they were just very forthcoming and courageous to courageous and just in general to survive what they did. And but to come onto the show and talk about their experience and to be really open and honest and vulnerable. That took a
Yeah, and
lot of,
they didn't have to come on the show. I mean, for some, that's pretty damn brave of them because
yeah.
I
I mean,
mean
breast cancer is
they
a very personal
can.
experience.
It is, and I think I told both of them like, you know what, fuck cancer. That's the logo. I think internationally is like fuck cancer. And again, like they said back then, and Lisa just mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, please, classmates, get yourself checked. Do an annual checkup, and then and as you mentioned, symptoms. Let's get checked out and take care of yourself. So
And
after,
and it's important that, if you're ever diagnosed with the C word, and we'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about Bill Harris in our show, but don't there are resources. Don't go it alone, because the first time I had 2 bouts of cancer, and the first time I didn't tell anybody, and I drove myself to treatment, and I didn't tell my work, and I was in my early 20s, and I did not tell anyone. And it wasn't that I was ashamed, I didn't know to ask for help. And if there's any message I can impart on people, is there's a wide community of people that love you. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because it's not a journey that one should go on alone. And I learned that the hard way.
well said. Well
I
said. I mean,
don't want to do it alone.
family members, friends, class. I mean, whomever. Just it really helps.
Yeah, it does. It really, really does.
Oh, can you hear me? Because I think I might be freezing a little bit.
Yeah, you cut out a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Say something. Can you
Sorry,
hear me?
guys. Again, it's my internet.
I know you're kind of on a delay. You're on a little bit of a delay. Now you're frozen. Can you hear me?
To what now? I'm sorry. Now I can hear you. Again, guys.
Okay.
Sorry. It's just the last 2 shows. My connection's been really bad, but bear with me. Bear with us. We'll get through this. So, um, now let's go to Gloria Days, which was the '83 football players to beat Tara, Mo Evans, Blake Barton, and Robert Braddock. You know, uh, there's one thing I ask everyone about. You know, we always brag about the hits we give on our opponents, but we never tell people about the hits we get. And Robert he's going to be on our show next week with some Hartford guys. He's going to share that again because one of the guys who was on the show, I think, well, I know he did the hitting on Robert, but we'll let Robert tell the story. But yeah, again, just it's great about hearing these guys not talk about playing together, but also mentioning Coach Sherwood quite a bit, and also the other coaches that helped them and mold them to great young men.
Yeah, but you know what I remember about that show? The guys teasing Blake, and Blake also talking about, I mean, he was a beast in terms of discipline, and he's still a very disciplined human being today. And it translates to what he does for a living now, running a meditation center. But he was just a really disciplined athlete. And I was just really impressed by that.
Yeah, he was. It definitely was. Hold on, I'm gonna. No, I can't really close this. But anyway, yeah. So, and then that's the first shows we did was all class of '83. And then, I was thinking one day, I was like, you know what? We need to expand out of '83. We really do. And what popped in my head was Bill Harris. He's an impersonator Elvis, or he didn't say impersonator Elvis. He said something else.
An Elvis
Because
entertainer.
yes, that's him. Yeah, exactly. So I reached out to Bill and said, hey man, we met at NRR, and you remember those NRRs I used to host. And I said, hey, I've got this podcast, and I see that you're an Elvis entertainer, but I said impersonator. But I said, love to have you on the show. He goes, absolutely. And then a few days later, I reached out back to him. I was like, man, do you want to add some of your classmates to the show? He goes, absolutely. And he invited Joe Stafford, Cash Terry, and Stacy Owen.
Hmm.
So that was our first show outside of Class of '83, and it was a great success.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun hearing their stories.
Yeah, it's cool to talk. I'm gonna say it, the older classmates, because of the Gibson parking lot. We, some of us may experienced it as freshmen, maybe sophomores, but we're more into the space station. So
Some of us never experienced the Gibson parking lot, nor the space station or PlayStation or any station of anything. I was
you know,
home.
I'll go ahead and say that I didn't do much drugs in high school or ever in my life. I mean, very, very little. I was more into alcohol, but I did. I did tell the classmates that when I first smoked dope, it was with one of them, and it was Mr. Joe Stafford. I was in the back of his car with Andrew Dunlap. It was our first time together smoking weed.
Well, one of the things I've talked to you, not on the show, but I'm going to go ahead and say it here, that I realized I missed out a lot in high school. I missed out on a lot of fun things, and I have mentioned that if I could go back, I'd probably not be such a straight laced person. But who knows? Probably I'm still a rule follower. So, but I've had to really examine. Like, I don't want to say it's envy. I feel like I missed out by maybe not rebelling and not getting to do a lot of the things. So it's been fun for me to kind of live vicariously through all these stories and all these people that have been on here, and it's like, oh man, I wish I'd gotten to do that. I didn't go to a concert till I was in college. I mean, I didn't do diddly squat until I got out of high school, and then we will not talk about college.
What? That will be. We'll save that for another show.
That'll be for another show. Yeah.
But no, I know fortunately I enjoyed it. I think I believe I lived life to my fullest in high school, so I had fun.
I think kids should, Michael. I mean, within the realms of not breaking the law and stuff, because,
Hmm,
once you get out into the world and you're working, life gets very serious very quickly. And I think,
absolutely.
your youth shouldn't be wasted on seriousness and too much work. You have the rest of your life to work. And, you know, I didn't, I had a stepdaughter, and I was definitely not as strict with her as my parents were with me. And I wanted her to have fun. I wanted her to have fun in high school and college, within reason and being safe. But, you know, I think every kid should just sow their
Well, I've got to ask you this, and you don't have to respond, but did your parents live a free life? Like, did they go out and do a lot of things where they're like, nope, no?
Well, that's not true. Um, my parents were very young when they got married. My dad was a wild child, and he was in the military, and he lived in Europe. And my dad was French, and he had the opportunity to live in France for a few years. And I have lots of photographs proving that he lived a very, very good life while he
A
was.
very active life.
Oh yes, 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 yes.
So, in other words, you can have half sisters, half brothers all over the world.
Yes. And my mother, who is Spanish, on the other hand, came from a very strict, very, very, just very strict household. And, she met my dad when they got married 3 weeks after they met. And of course, everybody thought, oh, she's pregnant. That's not true. They just, it was just opposite. Mom was strict, daddy was not. And because he'd lived this wild life, he knew what he didn't want us to experience. And my mom was like really fearful and overprotective. So the combination of those two things kept us on the straight and narrow.
So, it's safe to say she had your daddy's balls in her purse.
Yeah, maybe. him about that once, when he was dying in the hospital, and I was helping him. This is going to be crude, but it's a funny story. He was frail, and he had to, he had to go to the bathroom, and he didn't want the nurse to help him, so I'm trying to help him sit up and get moving, and he was so frail, and the hospital bed raised up, and so he's sitting here in the crook of the bed, and he didn't have the strength to get over here so I could put the urinal in front of him and walk out. So I stuck my hands underneath his armpits to slide him over, and he was like, ah! I'm like, oh no, what am I doing? And he said a curse word and said, "You're dragging my balls you're across the bed." And my response to him was like, "Oh, I thought mom had taken those from you a long time ago."
Oh, that's funny.
And so then he laughed and laughed, and he's like, "Oh, stop it, damn it, you're gonna make me piss myself."
Oh man.
That's the kind of relationship I have.
Hey, I lost my dad recently, but let's go ahead
Yeah.
and say to our dads,
To our dads.
love them. They were our heroes. So, Dad, I
Yes,
love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Not yet, but someday.
yes, yes. Miss you, Daddy.
Mm.
Yes. But I think that's a hilarious story.
Yeah. So the next show was some coaches, Coach Dennis Tomlin and Coach Daryl Selke.
Okay, yeah.
Uh, that was a great show because they talked more in depth about behind the scene, like behind the games. We hear from players in the field, and here's the coaches talking about how they practice and how they coached, and of course they mentioned Sherwood. They had some great stories. What you get out of it?
I Two things. One is the relationships that they had with Coach Sherwood.
Absolutely, yeah,
And then secondly, how both of them really, and especially Coach Tomlin, really took his relationships with his players and students so seriously, and his mentoring, like that was something that was very important to him. And as a result, both of these coaches really touched a lot of young men's lives, and also the fact that Coach Tomlin especially, and in talking to other athletes that we've had on this show, they've also said the same thing, that they could go to him with anything. He was a very steady adult for a lot of high schoolers. There was he provided a safe space, I think, for,
yeah.
yeah, and that really jumped out at me at that show. And
And
the other thing too is how, remember, he told us about how um, Coach Sherwood would go and meet with OT before a game, and OT would calm his nerves.
oh yeah, they became really good friends. And see, I didn't know that, and
Right.
until Coach Tomlin mentioned that, they became really good friends. And of course, the first year when they were there, he was there, and we were. No, that was before I was there, I think. The band was going to go to state, either go to state or do district. I think it was district. Anyway, um, the football players showed up, and OT didn't know. And this became a tradition for the football players to come out before our contest and give us a cheer for us, and that's unheard of. And then I think that's how they OT and Coach Sherwood created that bond because of that.
Yeah.
And you're right. He would go and meet for lunch, and OT would I would love to have been a fly on the wall to hear what the stuff they were
Yeah.
saying.
Oh gosh, me too. That would have been great. But I think that relationship is a huge part of what made the school spirit, team spirit really expand,
To the community.
and
Absolutely. I think not just Coach Sherwood, but with the band, I think that definitely helped, the community, to, well, you can help follow, finish me off.
really help with community buy-in.
There you go. That's it.
So it really expanded the booster club and the community involvement and community support, and not just football, but all PHS sports.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, it became, PHS sports became a much bigger thing in Plainview. I mean, people, I remember, definitely remember that after Coach Sherwood came and this bond with OT happened, and this started to blow up, the Angry Red, enough said, and everything, that attendance at football games, basketball games, and baseball games increased exponentially.
Yes.
Exponentially. I mean, because you and I were going to high school games when we were in middle school.
Yeah.
We talked about going to that game at Tech, and we were eighth graders.
Yeah. I
Um,
went with my mom and my aunt, which is her sister, and my cousin Corey, and we talked about that. So that's a good segue to the next show, which was the beginning. Anger Red Enough said. Absolutely. We had Royce Coleman, Jay Miller, Scott Sherwood, and Louis Rios and Kelly Raper, who talked about that magical year, who they went the furthest of any Plainview football team in the playoffs.
yes, that was fun. And
Well, what I like hearing from the guys again, I'm bringing up the band during the El Paso game. I mean, it was every game, but definitely at the El Paso game. They said they're in the locker room before the game, and all they can hear is the band,
the
and
band,
that just pumped them up and pumped them up and pumped them up, and then they whooped that ass. They beat the hell out of El Paso.
I mean, just, it was this back and forth of support. The football players supporting the band supporting the football players, and then of course all the fans that went to these games.
And remember Jay mentioned about they passed out this dot, a little red dot. And Coach Sherwood says, you need to put that on your watch, in the middle of your watch, so you can see it every day, the focal point of that red dot. So that was like, wow, wow. That was pretty impressive back then. So,
Yeah. I know, I'm sure at the beginning everybody's like, what? But
yeah,
once people got it, it just like spread like wildfire.
it did.
Sorry, I got distracted because I was texting my husband that he wanted to go out.
It's okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh, the next one was fun. The 81 band perspective with Kevin Box, Murray Burkhart, and Susan Wampler.
Yes.
I loved Susan's. Well, first off, when we started the show, remember Kevin showed us that crop top, that crop tank, the t shirt that was cut off?
The anger red. Yes.
I couldn't believe that he has all these t-shirts saved from high school.
Yeah. Well, I think he had the band jacket on first. And he took that off, and they revealed that the crop top, anger red, which back then I remember I wore them as football players. I mean, it was a accepted you know t-shirt back in the day to have a crop top for men.
It was a very 80s fashion
Yeah,
trend.
and then we had those long ass tube socks all the way to the knee, wearing a freaking crop top and those gym shorts, very very short. So yes, but yes, that was a funny show. Funny show.
I have a picture of my husband when he had hair in high school because he's bald now. And he's at some sporting event and he's got short shorts, high tube tops, crop tank top. He graduated a year before us, but in the Azores.
Yeah,
But that was the fashion trend of the 80s. And the
absolutely,
Azores,
it was. And then I remember Susan. I think Jeannie Hogue mentioned it in the twirl, but Susan confirmed or concurred that she hit her head maybe on the bus where they put the luggage, or she hit her head somewhere,
well,
and
they
then
both had the hot rollers on
yes,
where
and
they
then
did band practice.
it lived an imprint on her forehead.
Yes, because if y'all remember back in the 80s, there's big honking hot rollers and it had this like hook thing to hold the roller in place. Those are dangerous. My God. Those days.
That's what happened to your hair, right? That's why you have short hair. Just kidding.
I have
Uh,
short hair because I got tired of messing with it.
yeah.
I wanted easy.
And the next show was the Coach Killen era. That featured Sharon Hunt, Cheryl Vera, Coach Jerry, Coach Killian, and Carol Horn. Uh, It's like, everyone thinks, think that that one time in band camp, that one time in band camp, and they think all these, they're geeks and nerds, but hey, some of these people are freaking funny, and they were funny. They tell some great stories. Uh, can you mention one of them?
Yes. The one, well, I think this was the show where they all went and hid upstairs, right?
Yeah, they went upstairs for whatever reason. They were not supposed to be up there,
Right,
but
but
they
they
went
were
up.
hiding, they were hiding from Coach Killian
Yeah,
specifically.
yeah.
And I don't think it went so well for them.
No, they didn't. They all got licks. The whole licks, and then mentioning licks, Coach Killian said that you know OT, a couple of cheerleaders that were in band got in trouble, and OT says, "Well, you have to give them licks." He's like, "What? Really? Oh yeah, this is part of your job. You got to give them licks." And he gave those two cheerleaders licks worth their uniform on.
Had to have been really uncomfortable for him because obviously I wasn't in band, but I recall, wasn't Coach Killian pretty young when we were in high school?
Yeah, he was mid-20s maybe, or
Okay. Oh yeah, that had to have been just really nerve-wracking and uncomfortable for him. I,
yeah.
I cannot even imagine.
And then of course I asked, how did he get that name? And I thought maybe it was John Wright that gave him the name, but nope, it was Keith Bell. Keith Bell coined Coach, class of '83, gave him that name, and I'm pretty sure everybody still calls him Coach, like everyone calls me Flo. So that was a great show. The next one was that was this one I really loved. It was Dr. Sigler. We had the daughters from Dr. Sigler, and he was my doctor. And damn it, I wish there was a way I can get people to, I don't know, get with the city, because they should name a street after this man. They really should name a street after Dr. Sigler. He's done so much for the community, and you want to tell us what all he did?
Yeah, on top of being pretty much everybody's doctor at some point in time, I think what was so moving to hear his daughters talk about is all of the, I mean, for a better lack of word, charity or pro bono work that he did. And, he really took his oath as a doctor seriously, and that money was not an object. If you needed health care, he provided it, even if you could not pay him. And even to the point of, going out in a snowstorm to somebody's house to deliver a baby. And he was just very altruistic, I guess is probably the better term to use, and committed to his profession.
Yeah,
And he what I remember about Dr. Sigler is that when he provided health care, it was to everyone. He didn't look at you at the color of your skin or how much money you made or your profession or whatever. If you needed help, he was going to help you.
yeah. And then where he would fly his daughters to Lubbock during like school, before school started, just to to eat breakfast, and then flying back before school started. And he also had a band. I forgot about that. This is not in our notes. He had a band with other
Oh,
physicians, other
yeah,
doctors,
that's right. I forgot about that.
and I forgot the name of it, but he did that. He's also a, a Boy Scout. What do you call him?
A troop leader.
Troop leader. Yeah, for many years.
I just
And
amazing to me how active he was in so many things outside of his profession. Like he was a busy guy.
yeah, it was. So Plainview city folks, come on, let's name a street after this man. He deserves it. He definitely deserves it. Or that little Walk of Fame, I guess.
Yeah, Siegler Avenue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, who's the next show?
Oh my gosh, the man, the myth, the legend, Danny Andrews.
Absolutely.
I remember Danny when we lived in Plainview, and I was just always impressed with him. But when he came on the show afterwards, I don't know if I said it after we'd already stopped recording. his memory bank, holy hell. I mean, it was like going through a Rolodex, a file, it just blew me away that he could
Yeah,
remember I mean, his recall of people, places, things, dates was unbelievable.
yeah.
He's a walking encyclopedia. He's a walking Wikipedia.
Andrewpedia.
Yes. I mean, I was just really, really
Well,
impressed.
he mentioned that I didn't know this, that there was a minor league team playing back in the 50s or 60s, and old pops, Willie Stargell of the Pirates, who won the World Series in '79, I think. But anyway, he played in Plainview as a young gentleman. I didn't know that. So again, you're right. He's a man of knowledge and
Yeah,
memory. So.
yeah, completely.
And then we had Mr. Ansley, Willie Ansley, who was this close to making to the show, major leagues. He was drafted by the Astros and he went all the way to AAA. And I mean, what a phenomenal young man. And hearing his stories about playing ball. And I think I told him, but myself, B. Terrell, and Peter Vera coached Little League, I believe, or maybe Junior Babe Ruth. But anyway, he was one of the guys that played for us, and he was damn good back then. Even back then, he was a phenomenal athlete. So, but he mentioned about a little incident, a little accident he had in center field. But we'll touch that story once we talk about the next one. So,
Yeah.
but
But he
he
did
go
meet his
ahead.
wife. He did meet his wife playing baseball, and they're still married. And that was a very sweet story that he
Yes,
shared. So, he may not made it to the show, but he got the big door prize.
yes, he did. That's right, absolutely, and he's got great kids too. So now that led up to the Diamond in the Rough Bulldogs '88. That consists of Willie, Coach Fred Oliver, Ronnie Ballard, Wally Chavez, Pete Holland, Raymond Pena, and Lee Keller. So these guys were fortunate to play with Mr. Ansley. So do
Yeah.
you want to talk about that accident in the center field?
Yeah, but before I do that, I want to just remind our viewers that what was really interesting and unique about this show is that these guys have really stayed in touch and they've had numerous reunions. And the bond that they shared and continue to share now was just so evident. It was really moving to watch these men. I mean, they really love each other and they love, Coach Oliver, and the fact that they are all still really connected just was really touching. But um, Willie, Danny Andrews mentioned the story about Willie. Then we had Willie on the show. And then when he met with these guys, then he told the whole story about him needing to pee and couldn't go. And so he wet himself in outfield. And when he came into the dugout, his teammates, didn't want him to be embarrassed or humiliated. So they poured water on him so it would look like he'd spilled water or whatever. So, they all rallied behind him so that he would not be embarrassed the fact that he could not hold it any longer.
Well,
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, marathoners.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the funny thing was, though, before he relieved himself, he was yelling at the I forgot who was pitching for him in that game because he kept throwing balls, and it was like, "Come on, man, throw a freaking strike. Let's get it out so I can go and use the restroom." But the guy kept pitching balls, and it was too late. And but that was funny, and it was pretty mad of him to share that story. And I think I'm not sure if it was that same game, but uh, he hit that. They mentioned they hit that monstrous 500 plus feet home run in Amarillo.
Yeah,
So, and I
yeah,
think they said the ball is still traveling. So,
yeah. Didn't Coach Oliver say something about somebody going out the next day and
oh
measuring?
yeah, yeah, I believe so. Yes,
And it was just incredible. I mean, I
yeah.
think anybody watching at that time knew that he was going to be a standout, a superstar. Move on up.
And then his sister, oh just went brain dead. Oh, geez, is in our class. Oh, I'm so sorry. What? I gotta look at her. My apologies.
Carla.
Carla. Yeah, she's a classmate, an older sister. But anyway, so after that, we had the 81 football players, which consist of Britt
Britt.
Mayberry, Bill Hayes, Richard Norrell, Roy Lee Mason, and Tim Johnson. And it was cool because I knew Tim Johnson. He played, we played baseball together. That's the first time I've seen him in over 40 years. But what'd you get out of the show?
Their camaraderie. And I mean, I remember all these guys, even though they were upperclassmen. They were 2 years ahead of us. Um, you know, Several of these guys had classmates in our class, so that's how I knew them. I loved their camaraderie, and that's what stands out for me the most about them.
And of course, they all mentioned Coach Sherwood and the coaches, how,
Yeah,
again, how they really enjoyed them and helped them become your good young men.
I thought these guys were really humble.
Yes.
They really, besides their camaraderie, they expressed a lot of humility, and they were very respectful. Very, very.
Yes, they were.
We tried to get stories out of them that that were not good boy stories. But these guys were like on the straight and narrow, at least so on our show. They told us.
Yeah, they mentioned about Richie. He also played basketball. He's a very good player than a
Yes,
dunking machine. But so the next one was back to class of '83 baseball. Gwyneth Dunlap, Brent B. Terrell, and Kevin Mosley, and I played with these guys. And we talked about how Coach Hill was very, very, very not only a good coach, was a good man, and Coach Brown as well. I mean, they taught us not just how to play the game, but how to be a young man, and they're someone we looked up to. So I mean, we enjoyed it. Uh, not I'm not sure what stories I've got a couple, but I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. But we had a damn good team. I think we can go further than we did, but that's the way it goes. But
yeah,
we enjoyed playing baseball with these guys. And then this one was one of your favorites, the 82 varsity cheerleaders.
my
Who was
birth.
on this show?
Mona Bryant, Tanya Long, Diana Hayes. And I was really bummed that Jody and Crystal were not on the show with us. But it was the first year that I made varsity cheerleader, and Crystal and I were the only juniors. So we got to hang out with these girls, and I had so much fun. I mean, I looked up to them all the way back from we were in middle school. Like, I still remember, I was a cheerleader in sixth grade and looking up to these girls. So to be on the squad with them was just such an honor and so much fun. But
Enough of that crap. Come on, tell us a story. Tell us a Lubbock trip. That's the story.
Great Lakes girls, and Mona had gotten that brand new 280Z for her senior year, and all six of us piled up in it, and I sat in the console shifting gears. None of us wore there was no room to put a seatbelt on. I'm like, we were just piled in there, and of course, we made a booze stop and bought a case of malt duck.
Woo.
And I had never drank before. I was so intoxicated, and we ran into a teacher at the mall, and we were slurring. And I thought, oh, this is bad, bad, bad. This is going to get back to my parents. We're going to get suspended, but we didn't. Nobody said anything, and um, oh my goodness. Then who who did Mona tell the story about somebody putting a turd on her car?
Yeah, no, they shit on her car. Someone climbed on top and just
Took a shit.
yeah, took a shit.
It
Yeah,
pooped on her.
and then they scratched her car because I guess the jealousy part. They were jealous, and
Oh, that's
yeah, that was
horrible.
yeah, it was. It was pretty disgusting what people. And then when I had my Trans Am, I had a couple of scratches on them. Like, come on, that was back in the day. But
I do want to say
anyway,
about our squad. when we used to go to cheerleading camp, there were some really good cheerleaders, and there were a lot of the schools that we played had much bigger squads, and so they were able to do like more stunts and more gymnastics heavy things. But when it came to technique and to team spirit, even though we were a tiny little 6-person squad, I will tell you that at camp against all these big schools, that we always won awards for our technique. We always won spirit awards, and we were enviable. People knew who the Plainview High School cheerleaders were. We had a presence, and they knew that we were strong competitors, even with our tiny little squad. And that always makes me super proud. And it was always that way because I was at varsity the next year, with fellow classmates. And that year, our two underclassmen were Leah Kay and Liz. No, Michelle. Oh
Show
God.
Hart.
Yeah,
No, Liz.
it was Liz.
Liz. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Liz. And it was Liz and Leah Kay. But, and then the next year when I was going to be a freshman in college, I went to cheerleading camp by myself as an individual competitor with the next year's varsity cheerleaders. So that I could just hone my skills and get ready for tryouts for Texas Tech cheerleader, which I blew my knee out, and that was the end of that. But I mean, all the classes under us and before us were really big competitors. Anyway, so let's move on.
So the next one we had the 84 40th reunion committee was Marie Hooper Nelson, Roy Thompson, Albert Vega, Brenda Sims Jones, Leigh K. Lau, Gabriel, and Brent Richburg. And they're basically just promoting their 40th reunion last year, which was a success. But what I got out of this show is they mentioned Albert Vega, and someone sent us a picture who was always taking pictures, and he went inside the ladies' restroom. And I think someone took a picture of him inside the ladies' restroom. So Albert, if you see this show, I'm welcoming you to post or remind us I don't forget why did you go in the ladies' room with the camera?
I forgot about that. I forgot that.
So
It
and
was
then after that, well, do you have anything else to add?
No, it was just fun to reconnect with these folks. After that show, Leah Kay and I ended up calling each other and having a 2-hour phone call. It was so much fun to catch up. It was
So we
really
need to
fun.
schedule her on the show. Let's talk about her Miss Texas. So we need to
Yeah,
have her. So
yeah, I would
I'll
love to
let
do.
you. And so the next show was 60 seconds at 60. Should be really more like a lead balloon. Did Blake Bard, Melinda Morales, Andrew Dunlap, Tommy Love, and Patrick Smith, our class of '83. We know we talked about our challenge for us turning 60, but unfortunately it didn't go well. And then hey, I'm mostly to blame. So I don't know. We still got till August.
I want to
So,
be very clear that I am still doing it. And so, as my 60th birthday approaches in June, there will be a video on our class page, and I will be doing something challenging for 60 seconds.
and
And
then Leticia Gonzalez said she'll do it with you. Yes, Leticia Gonzalez, I'm calling you out. And thank you, by the way, she came to my dad's rosary, so it was real sweet of her. So the next one, the Wawas. What does the Wawas stand for? What's the acronym? Do you remember?
no.
We ain't worth a shit.
Oh,
These were the class of '85 guys. Most of them didn't have weren't athletes, but they put a second, like I think a B team for their church. And I remember because I went to the game and I see them wearing these Hawaiian shirts. I don't remember the W, but they told some funny story. These guys could not play, except for Todd Heflin, who I recruited to play with me. Playing the bigs with us. But that was there were some pranksters. So you want to explain that?
yes, they were, but they did get a lot better as their season progressed. But they played for
Well,
fun.
were they losing by 2 runs rather than 20? But go ahead.
Yeah, something like that. But what stands out about that show was them breaking into the high school and hanging a banner, and I think the banner said "Good Morning Campers," but then later, like nobody knew who had done it until later when they wore T-shirts that said "We did it," something like that, right? We did it.
Good morning, campers. Like, yeah, we did it. They weren't at one of the senior parties, so it's after they've graduated.
Oh yeah, for
They
sure.
came clean. They came clean, and I think Jeff James mentioned that he and a handful of guys were brought in by McBee
Yeah,
and
but wasn't
questioned.
is this also the group of guys that during the senior picture gave the bird?
Yes, a few of them did. That is correct. I forgot about that. They did.
Yes.
I think a couple of them did, and they
Yeah.
got in trouble, maybe suspended, and got licks. And what I really enjoyed was when Brent Gabriel told the story where his late sister Stacy Gabriel had an extra set of keys for Kim Tuttle's car. So when Kim would park, Stacy would go out there and move it. And of course, Kim would come out there and like, I know it parked here. So, she couldn't find it. I think they did it all year. Well, what's even funnier, when she graduated and when both of them graduated, Kim gave Carrie Tuttle, which is her younger sister, class of '85, her car, and Stacey gave the keys to Brent, class of '85,
Oh,
and they did the same thing to Carrie when she would park and they move it, she'll come out. I'm like, where's the car? So that was very funny. And then after that, we had Miss Christy Ade, who
yeah.
was oh my God, to tell us how fast Plainview is growing, and she mentioned about uh, uh, Whataburger and Chick-fil-A and some Korean company that started a business there in Plainview because of sulfur. I think I don't remember
I
the
don't remember the
product, but
actual product, but I mean, it was just her role in the economic development, and how what an integral part she's playing, and she's just so accomplished. And to come full circle, she never ever thought she'd be moving back to Plainview, and look what she's.
yeah. So
That was that was really nice.
and
Um,
then we had the stage band with Ray Hughes, Kevin Box, Murray Burkhardt, Cindy Resendez Amaya, and Carl Wampler. And all of them mentioned how Mr. Burks, who who, by the way, I think Kevin mentioned that he's the one who came up with Anger Red Enough Said.
what?
Yeah. Kevin Box mentioned there was some kind of contest, and I think it was Mr. Burks who said, "Yeah, let's go with Anger Red Enough Said." I think that's the origin of Anger Red Enough Said. It was because of Mr. Burks.
Wow. Okay. Well, there it is.
Yeah. The next one was Class of '82, another fun show with Kim Tuttle, Laura Branch, Walt Taylor, Shawnee Trimble, Scotty Hill, and Harold King. That was that was a funny show.
It was. What I remember most about that show was just really what close friends they were.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they were. They were
Oh,
in
oh, and Shawnee getting 27 licks. I cannot imagine. I,
1 year. In
it,
1 year, her senior year, that 1 year, not 27 licks, through her school career. No, 1 year she got 27 licks. And then, of course, Kim Tuttle did confirm or concur about the keys.
right.
That's her car being moved. So that was definitely funny. And then excuse me, we go back to Mr. Danny Andrews. He spoke about the Hall of Honor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can,
And that's his passion project. Is,
yes.
I mean, he was in Plainview long enough and involved in, as an editor in the sports and everything long enough to realize, wait a minute, in this little bitty West Texas town, we've had a lot of really incredible and stellar athletes come out of our system, and they deserve to be recognized as hometown heroes. And he started this passion project called the Hall of Fame, Hall of Honor, and he we had him back on to talk about all these local athletes with significant accomplishments, and that was really um, it was really moving, and I really appreciate it. I mean, because he doesn't get paid for it, and it's just something that he's done to commemorate all these individuals and their contribution and their accomplishment. So thank you, Mr. Andrews, and kudos to you for doing that, and congratulations to everybody that's
Yeah, and continued success. Absolutely. And wish you the best of continued success. And after that, we just had like a special edition with Steve George and Robert Braddock because Robert mentioned this. It was his idea. We were kicking around about out in Hereford, Texas, because I was our biggest rival back then.
right.
Some of the players in which we've done it. Next week, we're going to record some of the Hartford football players and the Plainview players, and we're going to discuss about the rivals. So that show was just a short little show about doing some brainstorming how we can schedule this.
Yeah.
Um, Now, of course, the next one, the Rifle Corps, Becky Pratt, Jeanette Hunt, Kay Dunning, Stephanie Morgan, Janet Posey, and Joe Lee Temple. These ladies talked some shit about the flags. That's all they said. Kidding, guys. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
An
just joking.
instigator. You are such an instigator.
But
But
anyway,
we learned that we didn't have rifle corps, and that Jana was really integral to getting that started. I mean, she's the one that
yes,
really talked OT into having the rifle corps. And so these girls were learning from scratch. They'd not had anybody, you know, to follow. They were
yeah,
the pioneers of having the rifle corps in the band. And they did a phenomenal job. And we talked about, the injuries and, because do you remember they would do those things and they flip the thing and they catch it and all these maneuvers. I remember that.
yeah,
And, you
yeah.
know,
I don't think they got manicures during the marching season because
do you remember they wore gloves?
yeah, I think one of them broke a finger. I thought. Yeah, I think someone did at the end. Oh shit! Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here. I can hear you and see you. You're frozen.
Well,
Where'd you
that
go?
was a first. It completely kicked me off.
You
Are you
touched it.
there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? See me? It's your equipment,
Can
man.
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You may have to take your headset off.
No, I'm good. I'm good. It just again, it's my connection. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Should be able to
can.
hear me. So that's why I can't freaking wait to get damn fiber optics in the house because this sucks. Anyway, so yeah, someone broke their finger. I don't recall, I forgot who it was, but anyway, uh, the next one was just you and I talking again about 60 seconds of 60. And then after that, we had the Lone Star Santas, Clem Webb and Rodney Watson, which I had no clue this was an organization in Texas.
I didn't either. It was so fun to see these two Santas and
Yeah,
to hear about how they started out as Santas and how much it means to them, but even more importantly, how they got involved in this nonprofit organization of the Lone Star Santas that provides toys and needed items to children and families that have been hit by a catastrophic event like a tornado or hurricane or whatever. And after the show was over and we were still recording, you recall I said that, when my brother and I were small children, we got hit by a tornado and lost, we escaped with our PJs on. And it was very traumatizing for our family. And I wish that had been around. So I know how impactful that is to those families, but especially to children.
yeah,
It's,
and they lost everything. I mean, the house, everything.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
here comes these Santas uh, giving. And yeah, they could still, donate. to their cause, the Lone Star Santa. So
Yeah,
you know,
LoneStarSingers.org.
yes. So please.
They accept donations of toys, items, and money year round. So
And um, a fun fact: Clem Webb was is an uncle to my apologies to Joy Webb, who was on the '87 state championship. And
mhm,
she told me that when she listened to the podcast, she learned a little bit more about her uncle, some stories that she never heard. So that was pretty cool to hear
awesome.
that from her. So anyway, and then who was next?
Oh my gosh. This was a fun show. We had to rein these girls in. The Fun Bunch, Beverly Gravel, Dawn Pitts, Geraldine Koch, Gina Barnes, Linda Gaither, and Sherry King. Man, were they fun.
And
And
this is the first time we've had them all in one uh, house, in one area, one spot.
yeah, yeah, that's what made it fun. What made it challenging was that they were all talking on top of each other.
Yeah, yeah, and then
To them.
and talking about the fountain of youth. I
Oh
mean,
my God.
these ladies are in their 60s, except I think Linda's the baby.
Yeah.
Uh, 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 but explain the fountain of youth for these ladies.
The Fountain of Youth is dancing. They get together and they do this line dancing, and I think they meet twice a week, right? For
Something like that. Yeah, they do line dancing and then they do the regular dancing.
Yeah, and so I dance every single day here at home alone. What's the saying? Dance like nobody's watching. Well, I do, and I can tell you firsthand that when you're dancing, you're so present, you're so in the moment. There's so much research about what it does to the neural pathways in your brain, and it really is like the fountain of youth. And the fact that these women from different classes have come together and have formed this incredible bond and friendship around dance. And they really, even though the whole podcast was a lot of fun, they also had some seriousness about how, in their journey through life, they are there for each other. They've developed a sisterhood that through ups and downs and challenges and whatever, they come together. They depend on each other. They look forward to spending that time together, and of course, they have a blast dancing. And they've invited you and I to come and go dancing with them. So maybe
All
we can
right.
do that when it's
Yes.
not cold.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then you know what? There are our biggest supporters of this show, and then they all bought T-shirts, and that was pretty cool with them. But so, to you, let's lift our glass, Lisa, to the
Mine's
fun
empty
bunch. To
anymore.
oh damn, well mine isn't. Mine's a big one. But
Mine
thank
had
you,
no
ladies.
Mine was a mocktail. It had zero alcohol in it, so
Mm.
it went down a little too easy. It's like
Mine's not a mocktail. Mine's a cocktail.
mine was
And
like drinking
then
Kool-Aid.
and then we have Rampage. Guys, Scott James, lead guitar, Luthez Thompson, vocals, Kevin Box, the captain at drums, John Wright at bass. I mean, these guys, I've went to a few of their shows. They rocked it. I mean, they rocked it. And I helped them. There's one uh gig. They played for the eighth grade, I guess their formal dance, and that's when Luthez was at a regional track meet and he was running late. So he came, I think he mentioned, I should have mentioned this to Liz. I think it was her mom that was like driving like 90 miles an hour back to this gig, and he showed up in his track uniform and still brought the house down. And that was a fun time.
And I remember Kevin still had a T-shirt.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, still had it. He had his Rampage T-shirt. I can't
He
remember.
didn't wear it, but he had it.
He had it. Yeah, and was Rampage like this or like this.
Yeah.
And he mentioned the T-shirt shop because as cheerleaders, I remember we had T-shirts made there. So that was a lot of fun. And then
Uh, well, hold on. I think also, what was funny, Jesse helped him out. Jesse Barrera helped him up, and John mentioned that one of the fun things doing this is signing autographs. And because it was funny when even they were coming up to Jesse Barrera, who wasn't in the band, he would just help them with the equipment, and he was giving out autographs.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah. Who was next?
Dr. Curtis Peoples.
Did you say Doctor Curtis
Dr.
Peoples?
Curtis Peoples, yes. You know, it Curtis is a unique dichotomy. Like here, there was this heavy metal dude,
Long hair.
long hair, not settled down, living a rock star life, who then turns around and decides he needs to get educated and gets his doctorate, his PhD, I believe in history, right?
I think
Something
so.
like that. Anyway, I mean, just it's like he's led these two separate but parallel lives, and the stories that he was able to share with us about his diverse life and his interesting career and really his whole journey. It's crazy,
Yeah.
crazy.
And then he mentioned that he was in band. Well, he got kicked out. He got kicked out because he didn't show up for a band gig or something. Because he went to a concert instead,
And he got
and
kicked
I
out.
got kicked out. And him and the late Ted Culp, I believe, he mentioned they snuck out, got some beers, went to the concert, and his dad or Ted's dad, I think it was his dad, found them in the concert and dragged him out.
Yep, yep.
So our next show, excuse me, was our first time expanding to another school. It was a Mojo Odessa Premium, uh, and the Plainview Angel Red football players of that magical year for Plainview, but they lost to Mojo in '78. Excuse me.
Yeah, since you can gather your throat. We had Jay Miller, Kevin Igo, Don Palmer, um, Vic Bynes, Randy. Your name's covered up over Randy. Randy who?
It's okay. The Plainview people: Jay Miller, Kevin Igo, and Don Palmer, and then the Odessa players were Big Vines, Randy Peterson, Martin Graves, and Joe Cuddleston.
Joe Cuddleston. Yeah. You know what? It was so fun to hear their perspective on that game, all of the game. But if everybody, whoever went to that game, if you recall, it was just absolutely bitter cold. But what I remember most about this particular show is even as they were sharing their stories, and there was some bantering going around. They were so respectful towards each other, and the fact that they could reflect back, 40 plus years, and that even then, even with that rivalry, there was still admiration and respect, and that was still present.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I don't know if you remember when I introduced them. I built them up, and I said, "And welcome the Midlandly Rebels." Of course, that
Oh,
was.
they took it well. They
Yeah,
took
they did. And then our next show after that was Uncle Nasty with Greg Harding Stone. That was a, uh, a I can't even say it. It was a great show that we had to put a restriction on it.
I love that Greg is at a point in his life that he could come on and just really share his rock star lifestyle as a DJ with such candidness and no holes barred, and talking about that time. It was a different time, and it was wild, and he talked about those wild times, including a famous rock star who camped out at his house for over 5 days, as you called it, partaking in nose candy, and then all his shenanigans, to get big, like being buried alive, or mimicking Jim Morrison. I mean, he pulled a lot of stunts. It's a miracle that he's alive, uh, based on the things that he did, but also, him sharing his journey to sobriety, and recognizing the man he wanted to be and the father he wanted to be, and that he could come out of it in one piece. and
Absolutely.
better for it and better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, cheers to you. I'm out of a drink, but cheers to you, Greg, for for
Yes.
realizing that, hey, it's more to life than this. But that was, and then Curtis, he came on at the end, at the end of the half of the show, and they shared some more crazy stories. So, guys, we're telling you, these little moments, if definitely go on our Facebook page and watch these, or just listen to the audio if you're driving or if you're cleaning your home or you're in the office. Just listen to the audio. It's some great stories these classmates are sharing, and yeah, that was a damn good show. And then after that, we had the drum majors, which was Jesse Barrera from 82, with Keith Bell of 83, Ray Hughes of 81, and Wes Neary from 80. And they talked about you know being a drum manager under OT and the other band directors as coach and Mr. JW King. But the funniest thing is when Wes came on, he wasn't on the show very longer, but he mentioned that when it was cold, they had these pocket warmers. They could hold in their hands and leave them in their pockets. Where for some reason, one of his pockets had a hole, and it dropped and it landed on his testicle, and he was so afraid to adjust because of OT, that he endured this painful heat on his nuts, and he even said he was surprised and lucky to have children.
Burned himself. Oh my gosh, that had to have been painful.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna let you talk about our next guest.
Oh, this was one of my favorite shows. Tommy Alcocer, you know,
Class of '83.
Class of 83. Yes, props to Class of 83. He really, we talk about our athletes being hometown heroes. This man really is a hometown hero. He runs a martial arts gym, and he is such a selfless human being, and he's mentored so many kids in Plainview, and he has led many, many kids, male and female, to national titles in mixed martial arts. And he could be big and make more money than he has. I mean, just his level of humility and his commitment to his faith and his commitment to the kids and to community. I mean, this to me is a person who definitely, Danny Andrews, if you're watching, he deserves to be in the Hall of Honor.
Or the Walk of Fame. One of the two.
Yeah,
One of the
because
two.
what
I
he
agree.
what he has done for youth, and especially a lot of youth who are underprivileged, who don't come from means, who don't have a sense of direction, um, who don't have support. They've learned discipline, they've learned integrity, they've learned work ethic, they've learned teamwork. All sorts of things have come out of his mentorship, and he deserves to be recognized. I was very, very
Absolutely.
touched and moved by him, and I did not know that about him. And I'm so proud of him. I'm so
Yeah.
proud that he's our classmate, and I just, yeah, that was one of my favorite shows.
Well, I had the honor to have breakfast with them. During my dad when he was passing away, and because he mentioned in the show, if I'm always at the new griddle at 9 o'clock, so showed up and he was there at 9 o'clock. So we had breakfast with his wife, got to meet her, and you know what? He does have a heart. He did learn karate under my dad. When he started, he was a student of my dad, and I'm going to go ahead and tell everyone this Tom and his wife stepped up for me. I asked them to do something that probably was uncomfortable at the beginning, but when my dad was when he was transitioning to hospice, and when he went to his home, uh, we needed someone. My mom needed to sign what's it called, the DNR, do not resuscitate document. Unfortunately, had to have two witnesses who we're not family. And his name popped up immediately. I gave him a call and he says, absolutely. Him and his wife went there. He said he was privileged. He was able to I'm going to tear up a little bit. He was able to visit with my dad and say his goodbye. So Tommy, love you, man. I will never forget what you and your wife did for me and my mom and my brother, our family. So thank you, sir.
Yeah. I
So
mean, that's a testament to who he is. I mean,
yeah,
in your moment of need, like there's no question he's going to show up. That's an
yeah,
exemplary of who Tommy is as a person. And I love him for that. And I said to you after the show that I wish that I had known him better when we were in school. And I'm so moved by your
yeah,
story, Michael. I just, I couldn't be there with you, but I was there with you.
absolutely. You were.
And
Well, our next show, which is we have two left, was the Lady Bulldogs 80 state champs. This was this. I had two shows that I wanted to definitely schedule. It was the 78 football players, and it was the 87 and Jerry McKennis. It was your idea, so thank you. I'll give props to you. He said, "Let's have that team," and we did. We got Coach Kathy Harston, Joy Webb Hodgkins, Becky Remington, Lisa Riggins, Ramona Black Graves, and Verlonda Carey. So,
yeah, what's great about this team, and we talked a lot about it had them on, is that these girls started playing together when they were really young. Like some even
yeah,
before sixth grade, but formally in sixth grade. And so, they probably could toss the ball to each other without even looking. Like they knew each other's moves and groove. They knew it. And Coach Harston was. I loved that she remembered everything about coaching these young women. And she was really young herself at the time.
yeah, like mid to late 20s.
Yes, but to me, the most hilarious there there's a moving part and then a funny part. The funny part was um, them sharing Ramona talking about how they were made to run track one season and how she hated it.
It was long distance.
Yes,
It
yeah,
wasn't sprinting.
cross country track, cross country, yeah. And but they hated it. They hated running. She hated running.
Eh, and I was privileged to meet with them since I was visiting my dad to meet with them. And I didn't go to the induction of the Hall of Honor, but I went the next day to meet with them. They had a little private little breakfast together, and and, and Ramona kept saying nope. She kept mentioning about hating to run, hating to run. So,
Yes.
and then another thing what Coach Harston mentioned is the Coach Cooper, her assistant was pregnant, how she jumped on top of a table. And I think, if correct me if I'm wrong, it broke her water. So,
Yes. And then, Coach Harston was, unbeknownst to all of us, at the end of the show, she got very emotional and why it was so important for her to go to this, to go, accept this award, but also a disclaimer because she was going to be wearing a mask and she got very emotional. She's lucky to be alive. She'd had a heart transplant. And obviously the girls didn't know about it. And so, I mean, it was stunning to all of us, but also very emotional and moving. So this honor felt was even that much more important and impactful to her that she's around to get to celebrate with these girls, you know.
absolutely. What's special about this team? It's not the winning the state champion. What is it is winning the state championship, but they were the first team or individual from Plainview to win a state championship. And we mentioned about Coach Harston, she was in her mid to late 20s. For someone to be coaching these, I think it was her second year coaching to win a state title. That says a lot about her and the girls. You know,
Yeah.
so
Well, it's
again,
a magic team, you know. She and she alluded to this that she didn't have to do a lot of managing. She didn't have to do any managing. She just got to coach, which is why the team was successful. When you come in as a coach and you've got kids that have maybe never played together, it's a mishmash. You're managing personalities. You're managing a lot of things that are aside from coaching the team. And she alluded
Yes.
to that. She said, I did not have to manage these girls. I got to just coach. And
Yeah.
so that I think was a huge contributor to their championship because they were self-managed. They already played really well together. They
Yes.
already meshed, and there wasn't anything to work out. And so that was, one of the things I think that made it, so successful. Um,
Well,
before we
go
go
ahead.
on, can you move up to the lady? Yes, that way your name isn't covering the names.
Okay.
Okay.
Did that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who's our second to last show?
The Flag Corps, Donna Fries Burnett, Melissa Coleman Bauckham, who were in our class, 83, Ginger Bell Porter, Carrie Dunlap Strasser, and Laura Snelling Weeks. So Ginger and Carrie were 84, right?
No, Kara was 84, Ginger and Laura were
86.
86. 86.
86, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I loved seeing these girls and them talking about, all the bruises they got from the flags. And they talked a lot about going to Corpus. And the funniest part of this show was Ginger telling the story of the funny nicknames they all
Yeah,
had.
they were in Ebersole, Mrs. Ebersole's class, I believe. And I'll let you go ahead.
I don't remember the names, and they're unsavory, but it's their camaraderie, and it's really funny because I didn't tell this on the show, but when I was a freshman at Tech in my dorm, I had a group of girls that we just totally bonded, and we had almost the exact same names for each other.
Oh shit. Well, that's funny. And also, and this is the second time I think the rifle mentioned it too during like a Buccaneer, the parade in Corpus, how people will reach out and try to grab them or touch them.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I think Donna said or was it Laura? Maybe Donna said she hit
No,
one.
Donna,
Yeah.
not. I mean, she just whacked somebody with her flagpole because he touched her where he should not have been touching her, and then one of the parents that was chaperoning ended up walk marching beside her the rest of the way.
Yeah. Now, I see. I never heard any of that. I was lucky to go to one of them because, I played baseball sophomore year, so I couldn't go to those trips. But I went my freshman year, and nothing was mentioned about these
Yeah,
ladies. Some of them getting attacked
think
or
about this.
fondled.
For that day and time, I mean, short shorts were in style in the 80s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that wasn't. But here are these gorgeous girls showing up with these short, hot pants and these go-go type boots. They looked hot, and they attracted a lot of attention. And so, sometimes the wrong attention, but
And I want to give kudos to Donna because I've been reaching out to her for over a year to come on the show, and she finally agreed. So thank you, Miss Donna. Well, and again, and they also said that they were the better, core. The flags are better than the rifles. So,
you are a troublemaker. Stop it.
well, at our last show that we had was the High School Sweethearts 2.
Yes, I love the show.
Who
Um,
was on the show?
Craig Etheridge and Liz Hart, Russell Horan and Vicky Baldridge, Rodney Hunt and Sharon Dallas. And it was just so touching to see these couples that started dating in high school and are still together, um, and how they've grown together. And something that really jumped out at me about this particular group was what made their relationship as strong as it is today was discovering their faith together. They didn't start out that way, but as they evolved, they leaned into faith, and that is what was a contributor to really solidifying and strengthening their bond to the point that, here they are 40 plus years later and still married and still in love with each other and putting each other first in their lives. And um, it was very touching and very moving.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it's and again kudos to all of our classmates that from our 83 and from others like Geraldine and Dan. They've been married for 40 plus years, so kudos to them, man. And so that was our 43rd show, and again, 130 classmates, and thank you guys, and uh, would definitely look forward to many more shows. And some people gave us some suggestions. But again, will reiterate: don't wait for us to contact you. If you got some classmates, you guys get together or contact me or Lisa, and we'll help you and we'll put you on the show, and so you can share your story. So everybody wants to hear them.
So, to our viewers out there, when Michael and I talked about doing this, so I spent 5 hours on Sunday putting together the spreadsheet for this show and future shows, so that we could all have it consolidated, and so that we don't forget, because we are getting old, and so I'm my husband thinks I'm partially demented. Like, we'd like, okay, we're going to do just a recap of a few shows. We're going to just go on for 30 minutes. So here we are, almost 2 hours later.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So um, I want
Every
to go and
was worth mentioning.
do I know?
Every single show was worth
Oh,
mentioning.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, we missed Bill. How do we miss Bill?
I have
I'm
no
sorry.
idea.
I'm
Elvis is
sorry,
still
Bill.
alive.
Elvis is still in the house. So I'll let you.
Bill's story is really unique. Bill was the first one to say that he wasn't a great student. He never, ever, ever in a million years intended to be a teacher, much less for as long as he taught. And so, having him on twice, he shared his journey, his personal journey, his professional journey, and how much joy he finds in how he found his voice in the second vocation of being an entertainer, because he doesn't just impersonate Elvis, he does other former stars as well, but also he shared his cancer journey, and I really do believe that he is able to have the spirit, the fighting spirit, and the strength and the perseverance to endure what he's going through, because he has a sense of purpose. And his purpose is bringing joy to people through this second vocation of an entertainer, especially as Elvis. And he's such a cool dude. He really is.
Yeah,
And, if you're not friends with Bill on Facebook, look at his Facebook page. He basically blogs about his cancer journey, and he's so. Um, I love his writing and his humility and his candidness in sharing his story, and it's just very moving. It's very, very and inspiring as hell.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So our apology, Bill. I'm sorry that we skipped you, but yeah, definitely touch my man, and we'll continue to pray for you. So next week we're gonna have the rivalry part one, which will consist of Steve George of '84, Robert Braddock of '83, Mo Evans from '83, Brett Brett Britt
Brett,
Britt May Britt Mayberry of '81, and the Hartford football players, Aubrey Richburg of '82, Don DeLozier of '82, and Alan Wardis of '81. So we've had that rivalry against Hartford, and we're gonna finally hear the perspective of Hartford side, why we had that rivalry. So guys, we're looking forward for that show. So stay tuned. But again, everyone, uh, to the classmates, the 130 who are in our show, to people sponsored, to businesses sponsored, to the classes bought the merch, also to you guys who keep watching our shows. Thank you, thank you. And what did I say earlier? Smash that what's that button? I forgot. Smash that on YouTube. Subscribe button, like the video, and leave a comment. But thank you. We'll definitely bring in more shows as long as we can. Thank you.
Yes, and Michael, and thank you to you for asking me, 2 years, almost 2 years ago, to do this fun project with you. You know, I didn't know it was going to grow legs like this, and it's been so much fun. And I tell you all the time that I love you, and
Oh, ditto, ditto, ditto.
you know, we are good pals, and I'm super blessed, and and blessed to have to connect with other people that we haven't that I had not talked to in years, and to connect with two of my favorite people, and that is Alex and Andrew. And I had so much fun with you guys at Andrew's wedding last year, and that wouldn't have happened if I had not done this, and it was just a lot of fun. It's
Oh,
been
well, thank you guys. Thank you guys, and that's it. I guess. Thank you for our 1 year anniversary. Well, peace and love, guys. Peace and love. Take care.
ciao.